In this video, we're just going to have a look at a great drawing tool called diagrams.net. So if you ever wanted to make a flowchart or draw a diagram, this is a great program. So it's app.diagrams.net, and we're going to now create a new diagram, and you'll see here you have a ton of options to choose from: wireframes, layout. If we have a look at the different items, you'll see how they're put together. If we look at the wireframes, but the great thing is you can really use this for anything. So when it comes to just mapping out a basic outline for a web page or something similar, this is a great place to start. So we'll just create a blank diagram, and we're just going to call it, let's call it layout, and save. So I'm saving this to my hard drive, but you can actually save this to anywhere in the cloud, and you'll also see over here that you get this option here to get the desktop version, which I also have, but for this video we're not going to look at that. We're just going to have a look at the online version. So here we are. Now what's nice about this is it's very easy to select an item and then to drag it to where you want. If you're not happy with the square view, that's not a problem. Just drag across something like this, and now so when it comes to putting together a website, it's quite nice. You can use this grid perhaps for your columns to position everything nice and neatly on the page. What's also nice is that when you extend beyond the border, the page just increases in size automatically. To set the page for your preferred region or area, simply select then from the drop down, and there's a host of pages ready out the box, or create a custom layout. So that's pretty much how this looks. If we were looking at web design, maybe we want to go with something that's 1600 by 900, something that's maybe a little bit more landscape. So here we have then the page. Now you can see it's a little bit big, so you can quite easily then just scale that down. And if this was going to be your page, so what's really nice now is that you're able to create these spaces. There is this grid in the background, and that makes it really easy to get around, to position items. And then whatever you want to position, it's quite easy then. Just select it. If you wanted something square, what's nice is that as you enlarge, being a square, it enlarges proportionately. If you wanted something more rectangular, then of course you can drop in the rectangle, and you can basically move it any way that you want. So that's just the basic layout. If you wanted to name these now, I can just double click on the element, and I could call this header. If I wanted to duplicate this, maybe I want to do a navigation just below it. So instead of adding a new element, this one's already sized to the correct size. So what I can do here then is simply right click, copy, right click and paste, or simply select duplicate, and there I have my duplicate item. Make it a bit narrower, drop it here, double click, and now there we have a navigation. So that's how easy it is to duplicate or to name items. This could be featured post. This might be a byline. And then of course, if you want to move things around, what's nice is that as you move it, so the page increases in size, so you don't feel like you're hemmed into a specific size. And then maybe you want to, in this case, maybe come in, keep hitting the wrong icon, come in here, and maybe you want to do a hero image. So let's create that hero image. And that's how nice it is to build out a layout. And you can of course be as creative as you want in defining where things need to go, and then being able to share it on a drive. You can then share it with other people. Just click on the share button, and you'll see that its sharing is only available for Google Drive and OneDrive files. So simply save the item in your share drive, and then you're good to go. To do that, just head over here to File, and then Save As, or perhaps we'd have to create something new and just assign it to the drive. So let's just have a look here. New, no. Anyway, Let's just find out how we can actually share this to a drive now. You can publish the link, so you can send people the link to have a look at it. Once again, it would need to be on a drive. Here we go. So new library, Google Drive or OneDrive. So if I go to my Google Drive library, I can then just call this layout and then save. Root folder, yes. Now we authorize the application, and then you'd go through the normal authorization process, and now you'll be able to save your items to the drive, and you can now share that with somebody, so you can edit together on the same file, which is quite fantastic. So that's the one side. So there you're looking at the layout. On another level, you might want to look at the website flow. So you might want to look at, okay, so what happens when somebody lands on the where do they go from the home page? Where do they what's going to be the layout of the website or a sitemap? So what's nice now is you can drag over, and if that's going to be my home page, maybe from the home page I've got a couple of sections, so I'm going to drag these over for the various sections. So you can either continually drag, or you can simply duplicate, or using your keyboard duplicate. So once you have your items in place, you might now want to create some levels below each one. I can then quite easily maybe duplicate a few, and you'll see that the screen does move a little bit erratically because I'm using an Apple mouse, so it's got that touchpad on it, and it can be super sensitive when you're doing stuff, and that can result in moving from side to side when you don't expect it to. But that might be the kind of thing that I'm looking at. And what's nice now is if I want to hook up these items, you can see I could simply do something like that and then choose the item to link to. So now we have something along those lines. Or if I want to join existing items, I can do that as well. So I'm going to select here, and now I'm just going to drag over to that particular item. If things are in the way, you can select them all and move them down. So now this particular line, maybe I want to change that. So there we go. I'm going to move that down to there now. And maybe I want to do another one. So I'm going to select the down arrow, select the next item. Once again, just drag that down. And so you get the idea that you can now create your layout with some nice arrows just to indicate what happens from which side. What you might want to do is maybe this one heads over there, and you might want to indicate that this particular section is not part of the main site. So let's do that one there, and this one over here. So here we've just quickly put together some kind of a diagram flow. It's not the neatest. I've been working very quickly, but you get the idea of how you can then start to map out the processes in the website, or in this case a sitemap. If you wanted to create a website flow or a funnel of some kind, we'll just hit the plus button here, and now we can do something with some different icons. So maybe we're going to start using some triangles. If you want to flip the triangle, very easy, right click. Not going to flip, but what we can do is just rotate the item, and now you can have your triangle facing either way. So we could have some triangles. You might want to put in some other kinds of shapes, and what's nice now is that you can still use those arrows for the flow. So you could you can even bring on a person. So if that's the person and that's where they're going to go, and then perhaps you want to give them a couple of choices. So we'll head over into a square. Let's just make that a bit, or not a square, any shape we want really. And now we can head over there, and now the person might have a choice to go to several other places. Maybe you want to add in a little voice box. Maybe you want to have a bi-directional arrow. between processes. So these are all things that you can add to your page quite easily. Now that's just the basic general shapes that we have on our page. So here you could see this might be a workflow, and then from here you might say, well, if the answer is no, then you want to head back to here, and then by dragging those little circles on the line you can actually position it then in the way that you want. So these are just some of the things that you can do when it comes to creating workflows, charts, whatever you want to do with this free tool. The next thing we're going to look at is just some miscellaneous shapes. So we'll shut up general. You'll see here you have a whole lot more, some with a little bit of color. So if I wanted to add one of those, maybe just pop that in there. Then you have some advanced shapes. So some of these are very purpose driven for specific diagrams. In this case, maybe you want a vertical tree layout, just simply drag it across, and there we have a vertical layout ready to go out the box. And there are integrations that can be done, so maybe what I would do is something along those lines. So you'll see now that I can do something like that. If that's in the wrong position, just drag it down, and now right, so something along those lines. So the nice thing now is that I can build out my page the way that I want, and I can add elements. Of course, there are these preset elements. Some of them have a specific function, like a data store. So if you wanted to store the data, maybe it's a case of the user, and then we're going to store the user data, and then from there we're going to do something else with it. So really up to you how you want to put it together. And then we've got some basic shapes here, and you'll see there's a whole lot more. Even go as far as adding a smiley face. So when you add an icon, you can either click on it and it places itself on the page, or you can drag it onto the page and position it exactly where you want. So let's move on then to the arrows. So a whole lot of different arrows. So if you really wanted to put in a big arrow, then you can simply just drop that arrow into position. Then we have some flowcharts, which is really nice if you want to put together your flowchart. Entity relation, and we even have UML. So these are more specific for specific applications. But the nice thing is that you can create the chart you want. So what's nice here is you can do the layout of a page. You can do the site map, the structure of the website. And you can even go as far as doing some kind of a flow, or perhaps you want to map out a customer journey. You can also do that on here, and the nice thing then is that you can share that with somebody. The other thing that could be quite useful is the color. So we might want to make different colors relevant for different kinds of objects. So here we have the various items. So this is an expanding box. The other boxes work much easier when it comes to color. That one a little bit different. So there we have the fill. You'll see it's much lighter. We can put in a gradient if you wanted. So you can really mix this up in ways that really make sense to you. If we just then have a look at text, you've of course got all the different text options available to you. The font size, positioning, alignment, then you've got spacing, opacity. So more than you need to do when it comes to the font size. And then here you can also adjust the level items to the front and to the back, quickly rotate, quickly flip, group, copy size, copy data, clear waypoints. Really up to you to get as deep into this piece of software as you prefer. If we look here at the menus, it's a comprehensive set of menus. So open from, and where do you want to open from? You can synchronize, save as, share. you get the idea. There's a lot that you can do. Even export the picture then, or the diagram once you're done, as a PDF, a JPEG, a PNG. So what's really great now is if you want to send this to a client, if you've made up a nice page on an A4 size, maybe you have your logo on, and you can then send this to your client as a PDF, and very easy to edit and update, or even share the diagram with them so they can provide their own input straight into the page. Because what you can also do, if we have a look here under general, is you can also add text. So I could bring over a text item, and you could have something like, please add comment here, and make that a little bit bigger. And then of course you can change the color. So let's make that purple. So maybe everything that's purple then is for the client to comment on, and I can even go as far as putting an arrow to where I want comments on. So maybe I want comments on all of these items, because I'm not sure if this is perhaps the way you want to go, and you can add text directly to the page. So you can really start to work together very nicely. We look at the edit. You can see there's a whole lot that you can do here. View, how do you want to view? Do you want to zoom in, zoom out, page view, page scale, units? You can even go as far as changing the scale of the blocks in the background. So at the moment the page scale is 100%, but you can adjust that the way you want. So you can really customize the page for your application. Arranging, send to front, send to back, rotating, inserting items, the kind of layout. So there's pretty much everything that you need to do that you can do from here. And then there's a bit of additional options with the theme, and also some plugins. Perhaps maybe you want to add a plugin. I don't have any plugins. So the nice thing here is that you can pretty much create the environment that you want for your client, and it's really easy because in one document you can quickly go from a layout to a sitemap to customer journeys or funnels on the website. So I hope you find this interesting. Hope you can use it. It's a great tool for mapping out and planning websites, a good starting point and a nice way to track as things are done. For example, maybe here on the design side you might want to do something really simple like coloring in green, and then what still needs to be done in a different color, and anything that you're busy on might be in orange. So when the client logs in, they can see exactly what's going on, and if there are any issues, maybe you want to highlight that in red. So the nice thing is that you can color code this and put up a color key on the side here, and the customer can see exactly what's going on, what's being waited for, but in a more visual environment. Great. Well, I hope you found that helpful. It's called app.diagrams.net. It's a free tool, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you for watching.